Nobody could believe what happened on the court last night. Caitlin Clark, the superstar everyone can't stop talking about, was targeted in every single play. Elbows to the ribs, shoves under the basket, defenders grabbing at her jersey, and the referees just stared like nothing was happening. By halftime, fans in the arena were on their feet, screaming at the refs to open their eyes. On social media, the outrage exploded. Clips of Clark getting hacked with 0 whistles racked up millions of views in minutes. Some fans said it was the dirtiest game they'd ever seen. Others said it was a disgrace to the league. By the fourth quarter, even commentators were openly questioning if there was something personal going on. When the buzzer sounded, Clark was bruised, furious, and refusing to shake hands. In the locker room, someone shouted, "Should she sue?" And suddenly, that was the question everywhere on sports shows, in group chats, trending on every platform. The entire basketball world wanted answers. Why was Caitlin Clark being targeted? Why weren't the refs calling a thing? And would this be the moment that changed the game forever? As soon as the game tipped off, there was something in the air and intensity, a meanness that nobody expected on a regular season night. From the opening possession, Caitlin Clark felt the heat. She barely made it to half court before the first. Bump a hip check from her defender that sent her stumbling off balance. No whistle. The crowd gasped, but the refs didn't even blink. Caitlin shot a look at the closest official, arms wide, but got nothing but a cold stare in return. The next play, it got even worse. As she drove to the rim, a second defender slid, in, arms swinging. There was a smack so loud everyone in the front row heard it, but again, play continued. The opposing coach shouted, "Let M play." And his team took that as an open invitation. Every time Caitlin tried to move without the ball, hands grabbed her waist, elbows pressed into her back. By the end of the first quarter, she'd already hit the floor 3 times on the broadcast. The commentators grew uneasy. "I don't know what we're watching here," one whispered, "but that's not basketball." Twitter exploded. Clips of each hit, each missed call, each time Caitlin glared at the ref, fans started compiling them in real time. Hashtags like Protect Caitlin and Referee Scandal trending by halftime, back on the court. Clark's frustration was turning to anger. At the end of the second quarter, she confronted a ref directly, voice trembling. "How many times am I supposed to get hit before you call something?" The ref turned away, stone-faced. Her teammates tried to keep her calm, but even they were rattled. One whispered, "They're trying to send a message. Don't let them get in your head." At halftime, the locker room was chaos. The coach yelled at the team to stay focused, but Clark could barely hear over the pounding in her head. Reporters waited outside, hungry for a quote. Finally, she faced the camera's bruises showing on her arms. "I just want a fair game," she said, voice icy. "That's all anyone should ask for." Meanwhile, fans at home were losing it. Message boards filled with wild theories. Was this a league conspiracy? Payback for Clark's popularity? Or just incompetent officiating? Some fans claimed to spot the refs laughing with opposing players on the sideline. Others said they'd never watch another game if something didn't change. Former players tweeted their support. "If this happened to me, I'd be in the commissioner's office by morning." As the third quarter began, the crowd was on edge. Every time Caitlin touched the ball, it seemed like another body would crash into her. She kept playing through it all, teeth clenched, determination in her eyes. And still, the whistles stayed silent. The final minutes were brutal. On one play, Clark launched a 3, landed awkwardly, and collapsed to the floor as a defender tumbled. Into her knees, the arena went silent. She limped to the bench, trainers swarming around her. But the refs, again, called nothing. The fans erupted in boos so loud it shook the building. Even rival team supporters looked uncomfortable. Nobody could explain why the officials refused to act. When the buzzer finally sounded, Caitlin's team had lost by 2. Clark stalked straight to the tunnel, not even glancing at the other team. Cameras caught her mouthing, "This isn't over," as her coach glared at the refs. Demanding an explanation. Outside, reporters chased her for a statement. "They let them do whatever they wanted out there," Clark said, her voice low and fierce. "Somebody's got to answer for this." And just like that, the internet caught fire with a single question: should Caitlin Clark sue? The fury didn't fade after the game. It got bigger. By morning, every sports show was replaying the footage of Caitlin Clark being hammered play after play. Slow-motion replays showed her getting raked across the arms, held by the jersey, even shoved from behind on a fast break. Not one whistle. Panelists argued if it was bias, incompetence, or something even dirtier. Clips of her bruises trended everywhere, and fans around the world started demanding justice. Her family watched the replays at home, rage and worry etched on every face. Caitlin's mom, holding back tears, texted her daughter, "You don't deserve this. Don't let them break you." Her dad called the league office, leaving a message demanding answers and swearing he'd take it higher if he had to. Her old college coach tweeted, "Protect your stars or lose your league." And former teammates flooded her DMs with support. Meanwhile, the league released a bland statement. "Officiating is reviewed after every game, and our referees work hard too. Ensure fair play." Fans were not buying it. The hashtag Justice for Caitlin was now trending #1. And even celebrities were chiming in, with one movie star tweeting, "Sue the league if they won't protect you." Rumors swirled that a famous sports lawyer had already reached out. In the locker room the next day, Clark was quiet, but her teammates were livid. They wouldn't dare let this happen to a male superstar. One player fumed. "They're trying to silence you." Another suggested, "We should walk out for the next game. Make the league notice." But Caitlin shook her head, jaw set. "They want me to break. I won't give them the satisfaction." Still, she couldn't shake the thought. Maybe it was time to do something bigger than just play through it. Her coach met privately with the general manager and owner. "We need to stand by Caitlin," she insisted. "If we don't, we're complicit." The owner looked nervous, more worried about league politics than justice. "If we make noise, we might get fined. But if we don't, we lose the locker room and maybe our fans." The GM agreed. "Our star deserves protection. We need to say something, even if it means trouble with the commissioner." Soon after, a source leaked that Clark's team had formally filed a complaint about the officiating. The league's commissioner, feeling the pressure, announced a review, but nobody expected anything to change. Meanwhile, talk shows invited legal experts who debated whether Caitlin had a legitimate case to sue the league or even the referees themselves for failing to provide a safe workplace. The story turned personal when Caitlin's little brother posted an emotional video online. "My sister's not a punching bag. She worked her whole life for this shot. Nobody should be allowed to try and take it from her." The video went viral. Celebrities stitched it. And some former players called for a full-on players' strike if nothing changed. Meanwhile, mysterious DM landed in Caitlin's inbox, an anonymous account claiming to be a former ref. "Not imagining it. You're being targeted. They want to humble you for all the hype." The account even offered to go public, saying the truth needs to come out for you and for the game. The next day at practice, the team was met by a swarm of reporters and angry fans holding up signs: "Call the fouls, protect Caitlin," and "No whistle, no peace." The commissioner tried to downplay the chaos, but an insider leaked emails showing higher-ups telling refs to let the games get physical to make the season more entertaining. The scandal now had proof, and the outrage reached a fever pitch. At home, Caitlin finally let the weight of it all hit her. In a moment of exhaustion, she called her mom and whispered, "What if I'm not safe here anymore?" Her mom's reply was fierce and immediate: "Then we fight. You have the whole world behind you now." The next game approached, and everyone waited with bated breath. Would Clark get protection? Or would the league double down and risk a full-blown revolt? The players watched the headlines nervously, ready to stand together if the refs dared ignore another foul. And somewhere in the league offices, panic was setting in. Because for the first time, it wasn't just about one superstar, it was about every player, every fan, and the future of the game. The question on everyone's lips: would Caitlin Clark finally get justice, or would she become the catalyst for the league's biggest scandal yet? The night of the next game felt different from the moment Caitlin walked onto the court. The arena was packed, not just with her usual fans, but with people holding handmade signs. Justice for Caitlin. Let her play and no more. Silent refs. National media set up camp courtside, and every camera was trained on the referees, who looked tense and unsure. League security prowled the tunnels, anxious about possible protests or disruptions. Clark's teammates circled around, her in the pregame huddle. "No matter what happens tonight, we have your back," whispered the captain. "We're not afraid to make noise." Caitlin nodded, steeling herself. Her heart pounded, but she was determined no more, letting fear run the show. Her coach gave a short speech. "They want us divided, but we play as one. Protect your sister, protect the game." From the opening tip, the game was electric. Every time Caitlin drove to the basket, the crowd held its breath. The first hard foul came just 3 minutes in. A defender raked her arms, sending her spinning to the floor. The arena erupted, and this time, finally, a whistle blew. A technical was called on the defender, and the fans exploded in cheers. It was as if the world had changed in that single sound. But it wasn't over. The opposing team played even rougher, and the refs, under more pressure than ever, started blowing the whistle on nearly every play. Fouls were called, players argued, and the game teetered on chaos. Caitlin was knocked down twice more, and every time she hit the floor, her teammates rushed over to help her up. At halftime, she stared into the cameras, voice clear and unafraid. "Thank you to the fans. Stop fighting for fairness. The game belongs to everyone." Outside, protests had grown. Fans marched around the arena, some chanting, some singing, all demanding respect for Caitlin and for women's sports in general. A group of former players arrived to show support, and reporters captured footage of them hugging Clark's parents and vowing, "We're not going anywhere until things change." Inside league headquarters, executives scrambled. Leaked emails continued to surface, and it was revealed that not only were refs told to let them play, but one supervisor even joked about humbling the Golden Girl. Outrage turned to calls for firings and resignations. Sports lawyers lined up on TV, saying there was now a legitimate case for negligence and possibly even for intentional harm. After halftime, the game became a statement. Caitlin nailed a deep three, and the arena nearly shook apart. Her teammates fed her the ball, and every point she scored felt like a win for something bigger than just basketball. When she was shoved on a fast break and hit the floor hard again, the opposing coach lost it, screaming at the refs for finally calling a flagrant. Both benches nearly emptied as tempers flared, but cooler heads prevailed in the final minute. With the game tied, Caitlin called for the ball. Defenders swarmed her, and just as it looked like she was trapped, she spun, drew a foul, and hit a fadeaway jumper. The crowd exploded as the whistle sounded a chance for a game-winning free throw. She nailed it, clinching the win. Her teammates mobbed her, fans chanted her name. For the first time since the controversy began, Clark smiled a real, relieved, almost triumphant smile. Afterward, she was asked the question that had started it all. Would she sue? Her answer was measured but powerful. "I want a fair game. I want every player to feel safe. If the league won't guarantee that, maybe it's time to ask the courts for help." The statement rocked the sports world. Legal teams offered their services, athletes from other leagues voiced support, and the hashtag #ProtectorPlayers started trending worldwide. As the night ended, it was clear nothing would ever be the same. Caitlin Clark's fight had become a movement, Fans were energized. The league was cornered, and every player now watched. One day after one of the most controversial and emotional weeks in basketball history, the world is still buzzing. Caitlin Clark's courage on the court and her refusal to be silenced has sparked a movement far bigger than any single game or season. Fans were shocked, the family was left divided, and emotions ran high as everyone from diehard supporters to total strangers took a stand for fairness, respect, and safety in sports. Now, the question isn't just about one superstar, but about the future of the game and whether the league will finally protect its players like it promises. So, what do you think? Should Caitlin Clark sue the league for letting this go too far? Would you support a player's strike? Or is there another way to make sure nobody ever faces this kind of treatment again? Is the league hiding a bigger problem? Or was this just the moment the world needed to demand real change? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Every voice matters. If you were moved by this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more explosive updates and emotional stories from the heart of sports. This is just the beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Watching, and remember, real change always starts with one person brave enough to fight back. Real change was finally on the horizon.